An introduction to endangered species provides the foundational understanding necessary to explore why certain animals face the threat of extinction. Endangered species are animal or plant populations that are at risk of disappearing due to a variety of factors, including environmental changes, human activity, and other ecological pressures. This classification is a critical alert that a species is nearing the brink of extinction, necessitating urgent conservation efforts. The importance of this concept is significant because preserving biodiversity is essential for maintaining healthy ecosystems, which in turn support human life by providing clean air, water, and pollination of crops. To illustrate this point, consider the example of the Amur leopard and the Sumatran rhino. The Amur leopard, native to the temperate forests of Russia and China, faces severe habitat loss due to deforestation and human encroachment. Conservation efforts are critical to its survival, as fewer than 100 individuals remain in the wild. Similarly, the Sumatran rhino suffers from habitat destruction and poaching, with only a few dozen left in the wild, making conservation breeding programs and habitat protection vital to preventing its extinction. Many conservationists and environmentalists argue that the loss of any species diminishes our planet's intricate web of life and reduces the resiliency of ecosystems. They often advocate for legally enforced wildlife protection, increased habitat conservation, and more sustainable development practices to mitigate this threat. However, challenges to these efforts include economic pressures and political resistance. Some stakeholders, such as industries reliant on resource extraction, may view stringent conservation measures as a hindrance to economic growth and development. This perspective highlights the ongoing debate between environmental conservation and economic progress. The introduction to endangered species connects to other aspects of the main topic by serving as the entry point for discussing specific causes of endangerment, such as climate change, poaching, and pollution. It also influences the consideration of human responsibility and the ethical implications of biodiversity loss. Understanding endangered species is crucial because it sets the stage for investigating why particular animals become endangered and what measures can be adopted to prevent further decline. The narrative of endangered species thus unfolds, tying together the complex interplay of ecology, conservation policy, and the broader goal of ensuring a sustainable future for all living organisms on Earth. Habitat loss and degradation refer to the process by which natural habitats are transformed or deteriorated to such an extent that they can no longer support the species that originally lived there. This can occur through activities like deforestation, urban development, agriculture, and pollution, which lead to the destruction, fragmentation, and pollution of ecosystems. Habitat loss is critically significant when discussing endangered species because it is often the primary driver pushing these animals to the brink of extinction. Consider the orangutans of Borneo and Sumatra as a prime example. These great apes are rapidly losing their rainforest habitat due to illegal logging, palm oil plantations, and human encroachment. As their natural environment shrinks, orangutans find themselves with increasingly limited access to food and shelter, making survival difficult. Similarly, the Bengal tiger faces habitat destruction as the forests of India and Bangladesh are cleared for agriculture and human settlement. Not only do these changes reduce the tiger's hunting grounds, but they also increase the likelihood of human-wildlife conflict. Proponents of habitat conservation argue that preserving and restoring natural habitats are essential strategies in protecting endangered species. Organizations and governments working to establish protected areas and wildlife corridors illustrate positive moves in this direction. However, this approach faces challenges. Balancing human development with conservation goals is frequently contentious. In regions where economic pressures are intense, clearing land for agriculture or construction may seem vital for community development and survival. An alternative viewpoint argues that socio-economic development should not be sacrificed for conservation. Critics of conservation suggest that such initiatives can undermine the livelihoods of local populations that depend on land resources, stressing the need for solutions that incorporate both human welfare and environmental preservation. Effective conservation strategies must consider these social dimensions and strive for solutions that enable coexistence. Habitat loss ties directly to other factors that impact endangered species. As habitats degrade, species become more vulnerable to other threats like climate change and poaching. Decreased habitat not only forces species into smaller living spaces, but also affects genetic diversity, reproduction rates, and resilience to diseases. Thus, addressing habitat loss is crucial as it interlinks with and exacerbates the various pressures contributing to a species' decline. Understanding and communicating the consequences of habitat loss can drive changes needed to protect biodiversity and ensure the survival of endangered species. Poaching and illegal wildlife trade are critical issues that contribute significantly to the endangerment of certain animal species. Poaching refers to the illegal hunting, capturing, or killing of wildlife, while illegal wildlife trade involves the unlawful buying and selling of these animals or their parts. Both practices are driven by a range of factors, including high market demand, cultural practices, and economic incentives. This problem is of global significance as it not only threatens the survival of species but also undermines biodiversity, disrupts ecosystems, and affects local communities that depend on wildlife for their livelihoods and cultural identity. The significance of poaching and illegal wildlife trade in relation to endangered species cannot be overstated. As human activities encroach on wildlife habitats, these illegal practices compound the pressures on already declining populations. For instance, the African elephant population has been severely affected by poaching due to the high demand for ivory, primarily in Asia. Similarly, tigers are poached for their skins and bones, which are used in traditional medicine and as status symbols. These examples highlight how illegal activities are driven by consumer demand and cultural practices, leading to sharp declines in the population sizes of these majestic animals. Experts and conservationists widely agree on the severity of poaching and illegal trade. Organizations such as the World Wildlife Fund, WWF, and the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES, stress the need for stringent measures to prevent these practices. They advocate for stronger enforcement of existing laws, better international cooperation, and the promotion of alternative livelihoods for those economically reliant on poaching. However, there are challenges and controversies associated with addressing poaching and illegal wildlife trade. One significant challenge is the complexity of global networks that facilitate these illegal activities, often involving organized crime syndicates. Moreover, some argue that banning trade pushes it underground, potentially making it more dangerous and difficult to regulate. There are also alternative viewpoints suggesting that controlled legal trade could help manage and sustain wildlife populations. This issue is intertwined with other aspects of the endangerment topic, such as habitat loss and climate change. Poaching and illegal trade, when combined with habitat destruction, create a dire situation for endangered species. Effective conservation strategies must address all these factors holistically. By understanding and combating poaching and illegal wildlife trade, we protect not only individual species, but also the broader health of our planet's ecosystems. Climate change impacts refer to the alterations in global or regional climate patterns, particularly as a result of increased levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the use of fossil fuels. These changes manifest in various forms, such as rising temperatures, shifting precipitation patterns, more frequent extreme weather events, and the gradual loss of natural habitats. Within the context of endangered species, climate change significantly influences their survival by disrupting ecosystems, altering food availability, and modifying breeding patterns. The significance of climate change impacts in the discussion of endangered species cannot be overstated. As ecosystems are modified, the delicate balance that many species depend on is jeopardized, making it difficult for them to survive. Species that are already at risk may face further threats, pushing them closer to extinction. The polar bear provides a poignant example. With the melting of Arctic ice, these animals lose their crucial hunting grounds, leading to a dramatic decrease in their population. Similarly, coral reefs, which support an immense diversity of life, are suffering from bleaching events due to warmer ocean temperatures, imperiling countless marine species that depend on these ecosystems. Supporting the argument of climate change's impact, many environmental scientists and conservationists argue that immediate action is crucial to mitigate these effects. They advocate for reducing carbon emissions and protecting natural habitats to halt biodiversity loss. For instance, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, emphasizes strong measures to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels to prevent the full spectrum of catastrophic impacts on wildlife. However, addressing climate change impacts on endangered species is not without challenges and controversies. Some stakeholders argue that economic growth and development should take precedence over environmental conservation, believing that technological advances will resolve these issues in the future. Additionally, there are debates about the extent to which climate change is the primary factor in species endangerment, with some attributing habitat loss due to deforestation, pollution, and overpopulation as more immediate threats. Climate change impacts are intricately connected to other facets of species endangerment. They exacerbate issues such as habitat fragmentation and loss, compel migration to less suitable habitats, and increase vulnerability to diseases. Understanding and mitigating climate change impacts is thus critical to comprehensive conservation strategies. By addressing these impacts, efforts to save endangered species can be more holistic, ensuring that the intricate web of life continues to thrive in the face of a changing climate.